Hello and welcome to this After Effects certification preparation series of videos. I'm Luisa Winters. In this video, I want to continue with objective 4.1, 4.1a to be more precise, which is to create visual elements using a variety of tools. And we're going to talk about vector editing, adding vertex points, more shape layers, that sort of thing. So let's get to it. In After Effects, I'm still working with the same project that I was working with before. I did a revert. Remember, to revert is just File, Revert. Of course, mine is grayed out because I already did it. But if you're following along without the project files, that's okay. Just create a new project, create a composition, and let's start creating shapes. So here we go. Let's create a new composition. So Control N, Command N, and I'm just going to make it HD. So 1920 by 1080, 2997. I'm just going to use that preset. I can name it shapes, but for this, I need to learn how to type. And there you go. For this, it doesn't matter what you name it. So here we go. If I want to edit the actual shape that I create, say the star, right? And we have the same kind of weird flower that we had before. And now I go to my pen tool or whatever. Notice that there are no vertex points for me to edit. Nothing. I don't have any vertex points. I could turn this into a mask and then I could edit the mask, but I can't. And, I can go to the polystar here, and there's a path here, and I can change things. I can add points. Look at that. Add, get rid of points. I can change the position, right? I can change the rotation. I can change the inner outer radius, the roundness, right? And the outer roundness, I can change all of those things. I can even animate them. But if I want to edit the individual vertex points, I can't do that. So how can I do that? Well, let's draw this shape again. But this time, let's press and hold the Alt key on Windows or the Option key on the Mac and then click and drag. Look, already the feedback is different. Do you see the points and everything? Once I release, and I'm going to release the mouse button first, then the keyboard modifier, now I see the points which I can edit however I like. Look what happens if I expand here. I can still change some things, but I can't add more rays. I can't. So it's not like a live shape anymore, but I can edit the individual points. So if I switch to my selection tool here and I just start clicking on the different vertex points, let me make sure that the path is selected, I will be able to edit them individually. See it? I can even change the Bezier to like yay, and I know I'm making this into a weird flower. It's getting weird. Now this is like a cannibal flower, with its claws, right? The point is that I drew this shape while pressing and holding the Alt or Option key, and that lets me edit the individual vertex points however I want. It doesn't really matter. Making sense? All right, so depending on what you want to do with the shape, you may want to draw it one way or another way, and that works with all of the shapes, all right? The next thing is this. If I want to mask this, mask it. Do you see these two icons up here? And by the way, they were grayed out before because the layer wasn't selected and I didn't have a masking tool selected. So imagine the layer is selected, but I have the selection tool. You see how they disappear? They're like, oh no, you're just not available. I need one of my masking tools, and then it's like, oh, okay. If this little star is selected and I click and drag, I create a new shape inside of that layer because the layer was selected. We already saw that in the last movie. But if this is selected, now I'm creating a mask, and that's what I have. So I can mask my shape layers. All right, so I'm going to undo that. I can also edit the individual vertex points, and then all of these tools are available. All right, so here we go. I'm going to draw something else. I'm going to draw a rectangle so that we can see it easily. I'm going to press and hold the Alt key because I'm on Windows. If you're on a Mac, press and hold the Option key, and here we go. And you know what? I got tired of that fill. I want the fill to be a solid, and there you go. All right. If I want to change the color, just click here. I want it to be purple, whatever, right? I can now switch to my pen tool and I can add vertex points. See it? I can switch to my selection point, my selection tool, and I can now edit these. If I press and hold Option, Command, Control, Alt, I can just add Bezier. Look at that. And look at that. And I can now start with a particular shape, and then I can edit it to be whatever it is that I want for that shape to be. And that's really, really cool. Again, all of these tools work. So notice that the mask tool doesn't work here because this is not a mask. This is a shape. If I wanted for the mask tool to work, then I could create a mask. So let's go over that. This goes beyond what the test is going to cover, but it's a good thing to know. So imagine I want this to be a mask. All right, so I can just add a mask and say, I'm just going to add it like that. M for mask, and there it is, and it has its mask path. All right, but I don't want for the mask path to be a rectangle. I want it to be the same weird shape because what I want to do is I want to feather that weird shape thingy. Do you see how if I go here, it has a path? And I can copy that path. You can just Control C if you're on Windows, Command C if you're on the Mac, and then you can click here and you can paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. So After Effects understands the same type of data. A mask and a path are the same thing. One produces transparency, the other one creates a shape. And now when I go here, this mask feather absolutely works. It absolutely works. This is a very different thing than what I had before. So this is still a shape layer. I can still add things to it. So selected, add, twist is just the one that we can see the best. And obviously if I twist it, the mask is not getting twisted, but there you have it. You could twist it, animate it, and then create masks like that. All right, so anyway, this is going a little bit beyond what the test is going to cover, but it's a good thing to know that you can have masks on shape layers and you can edit the shape layer even after you create it if you press and hold Alt as you draw that shape. But of course, you do lose some things, okay? So if I just draw the star, right? Notice I have the poly star, I have the path, and I can add points, position, rotation, blah, 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 blah. I can edit all of those. I can even animate those. But if I draw the same thing while pressing the Alt key, and I go to the poly star now, I don't have any of those options. All I have is path. And yes, I can animate those points moving, kind of the same way that we did the rotoscoping many movies ago, but you know, not quite the same, all right? So depending on what you want to do, you're going to draw your shape pressing that Alt or Option key or not, all right? Last but not least, a reiteration. If you are able to edit the path, then all of these tools, with the exception of the mask feather tool, will work. All right, and the mask feather tool doesn't work because, well, it's not a mask. You would have to have a mask. Speaking of which, if you want to mask the shape, make sure that this is selected and then use any of the masking tools and you will be able to mask your shape. All right, this brings us to the end of this video. Thank you for watching and I'll see you on the next video.